Right then. This is an OpenChain SBOM workgroup meeting, and this meeting is actually one of the very important ones just before we head into the Open Compliance Summit here in Japan. We're getting very close to having substantially completed the cross-industry SBOM quality guide. That doesn't mean we're done yet, but it means we've covered a lot of ground. And because this is the last call before the Open Compliance Summit, this will be where we have the opportunity to make a big difference and prepare ourselves for completing one of the most important activities in recent OpenChain history. But before we get started, I want to show the antitrust policy notice. We show this at the beginning of every Linux Foundation meeting. It's so that everyone is operating under the same rules and in a comfortable way. You will find the full antitrust policy on the Linux Foundation website. And if you have any questions and you're from an LF member company, you can ask them of our counsel, Andrew Optigrove. Now, I'm going to hand over to the chair of this work group, Kubota-san, who has been guiding our work in the most excellent manner. Perhaps the most important thing has been that rather than rushing, we have had a situation of iteration and sharing, which has led to our cross-industry guide becoming far more comprehensive and far more useful than it would otherwise be. In other words, we've had great progress. And on this call, I wish everyone the very best in the next stage of doing this. Oh, and as a side note, I see we have Mark Etienne from the Telco workgroup, and of course it's the Telco SBOM guide that inspired us all and continues to be the gold standard for SBOM quality across open source. Well, enough from me. Over to you, Kubota-san.
Yeah, thank you very much, Shane. And thank you for joining. And I will share firstly the SBOM document quality guide. And today we will have the guest for presenting the Siemens SBOM standard from Siemens, Thomas-san. And he will kindly make a presentation later. But firstly, I'd like to introduce the update status of the OpenChain SBOM document quality guide. And as Shane introduced, this quality guide is based on the Telco SBOM standard and standard or quality guide. So several document phrases and documentation are coming from the Telco SBOM guide. And we are formulating this guide into a neutral industry and format independent. So, and first off, thank you for providing many comments after we introduce this document quality guide. And we will now checking all comments and finalizing this quality guide for the first release of the Open Compliance Summit. And I'm afraid we can fix these old comments till the Open Compliance, the beginning of the Open Compliance Summit. But even if we are releasing this guide, even if this is a draft release and so on. So I appreciate you. If you have any comments or questions, please make a comment on this document. And now we are checking all comments and fixing all matters about this document quality guide. So I'd like to give our mic to the Thomas Grafson from the Siemens. Thomas, could you start your presentation?
Yeah, thank you very much, Kubota-san. Good morning to everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation. Now, let's see whether I'm able to share my screen. This one. Okay. So now you should see a presentation, standard one. Is it correct?
Yes,
Okay.
perfect.
Perfect. So for all who do not know me, my name is Thomas Graf. I'm located in Karlsruhe, Germany. I have a background, a software developer, software architect, and some other roles. And for more than 50 years, I'm working on license compliance for Siemens. And at the moment, I'm responsible for license compliance at the Siemens business unit. It's called Siemens Infrastructure Buildings, and we are about 27,000 employees. And we were always looking for automation in license compliance. And one of the areas where we wanted to improve is how can we accurately detect all third-party software components? Something which is today called SBOM creation, but I started many years earlier. And yeah, this is how I somehow became some kind of SBOM expert at Siemens. And the idea now for today is that I briefly show you the slides that we presented at FOSDEM 2023, just that we are on the same level. And the second part will be about all the updates that happened in the last 2 to 3 years. Okay, so let's see. Well, I'm working for Siemens, a large enterprise. We do a lot of different things, industry, mobility, infrastructure, whatever. You can imagine we have hundred thousands of employees all over the world. So maybe 50,000 R&D employees, hundred thousands of components of third-party software components that we use. And unfortunately, almost every software ecosystem you can come across, JavaScript, Java, C#, Go. Maybe if I dig deep enough, I will also find some Fortran stuff somewhere, which makes some of our work a little bit more tricky. And I will skip slides which are only about SBOMs. But what is very important for us is that we saw from the very beginning that SBOMs are always created with a specific use case in mind. So you just do not just create an SBOM, you want to achieve a certain goal with an SBOM. And one of the goals could be license compliance. And in such an SBOM, you would like to have a lot of information about the component. You would like to have information about where to find the source code. And from a company point of view, well, such an SBOM is more used internally. A second use case might be security vulnerability monitoring. So here, the contents of the SBOM might be slightly different. You want to have information about CPEs, maybe about existing security vulnerabilities or black box information, security vulnerabilities that have been reviewed as not being relevant for this use case. Maybe you want to include information about build tools and test frameworks. But in contrast to license compliance, you most probably are not interested in source code. But same, this is more something that is used internally. And the last use case is the regulatory use case. So all the things that we need to do with SBOMs because of Cyber Resilience Act or US Executive Order 14028. And here, the Siemens point of view is that we only want to provide a minimum of information because we want to minimize our attack surface. Let's skip this. So a team formed at Siemens years ago, people coming from very different organizations within Siemens. And we very quickly were aware that there is not a single tool that solves all our problems. So almost every development project is different, almost every team is different. So we assume that there is no universal automation approach. So the decision was, okay, we need to have different tools that fit best to the different use cases, to the different projects. And what is here still marked in gray, so step 3 is that we need to have libraries, because it might happen that, yes, the tools are good to use, but still we have teams that want to do a little bit more, and then they should have libraries that are easy to consume for them to create the most accurate and most perfect SBOMs. And again, why it is so important for us to get the SBOMs right. And right is, again, this is accurate and complete. Well, if we look at the security things, if we miss out a component, or if we do not provide enough details to really determine where the component comes from, we may miss information about security vulnerabilities, and this may lead to a lot of problems. Similar case on the license compliance side. If we miss out something, if we do not inform our customers about copyrights or licenses, this could end up in claims. And this is for sure something that we do not have. And just as an example how difficult it can be to create an SBOM, so let's say, I know it's a complex side. We start on the very left side, which is described as the easy way. Easy, when we talk about containers, is if we create all containers by ourselves. If we build them from scratch, then we know in detail what's inside, and then we can also create the accurate SBOM. And this is what we are striving for at the moment. So we have a number of teams who provide different base images within Siemens, so like Debian-based images, Alpine-based images, some .NET-based images, and the images are checked for security vulnerabilities. License compliance work has been done, and they are hardened, so they are kind of ready to use for developer. Again, this is what we are looking for, but we are a large company, and we still come across situations where people tell us, hey, but we have here a container that we took somewhere from the internet, and then it's more work to find out what's really inside the container. We may come across containers from commercial partners where we would say, okay, they have been created externally, but they are trustworthy. But the worst case from our point of view is if a developer tells me, for example, hey, I found a great container somewhere on the internet. And if I ask you, where did you get it from? The answer is, oh, I don't know. I forgot it. It's been 3 months ago, and I just don't know where the container is from. I do not know what kind of operating system. I was only interested in the results, in the top level. And in such cases, it's very, very hard to create an accurate SBOM. So this is probably the range that we have. And when you look at different tools, when you look at different approaches, at Siemens somewhere there was the idea, hey, we need to have a common SBOM format, that not everyone does something else. We need to have a common tooling, and the common SBOM format is really about providing more information. What do we need inside an CycloneDX or SPDX SBOM? And we created a group that is called the Siemens Standard BOM Group. We have our website. We have a specification that everyone can have a look at. We have a list of our tools and a long list of frequently asked questions. And just that you understand a little bit better what this is, the Siemens Standard BOM, basically it's a subset of CycloneDX, and you know this, Cyclone DX is language agnostic, independent of the source ecosystem, independent of the consumer. So it doesn't matter what kind of Siemens internal users or consumers we have here. A little bit more. Again, it's a full 100% subset of Cyclone DX, but we have some conventions. So we want to have all components as a flat list, not as a tree or as a dependency structure. We have introduced some additional properties, and we tried to do it the right way. So we provided the Siemens property taxonomy as open source. You can see it somewhere in the Cyclone DX repositories. So we have a detailed explanation what is Siemens column direct, Siemens file name, or primary language. These are easy properties. Where it got a little bit more complex is when we look at the way to express where to find source code, because again, for the license compliance use case, this is very important for us. So we're using the external references, and here there is a type distribution where we can provide a URL, so either a URL to a local file or to a web resource somewhere. But until Cyclone DX format 1.6, there was no real perfect way to describe what this external reference is about. So at the moment, we rely on the command. So the command together with the type information will tell us what this URL is really for. And the perfect result that we would like to have from the development teams is what we call a Siemens BOM or standard BOM package. That is not only the SBOM file itself, but also all source code files that are referenced. So let's say a big archive, a big binary blob, and this then can be forwarded to other tools to do further evaluations. I guess you all know how SBOM entries look like, so we can probably skip this. And this is how we explain developers, but also managers or other people, just how is the perfect workflow. So developers just check in code. Then this code logo, this is about our large GitLab instance, which is called code.siemens.com. Okay, you do a commit, continuous integration starts, and the part of continuous integration is then one or multiple dependency scanners that are run, and then you may get a first version of a BOM, of an SBOM. Often you then need additional steps. You can run validators, you can merge different kind of SBOMs, you can use additional tools to download source code or do more checks. And then once you have a, let's say, close to perfect SBOM, then you submit this SBOM to some backend here for license compliance, which is called within Siemens software clearing. And then you get some results, and then results are returned to the product owner. Yeah, that was basically what we showed at FOSDEM. Clearly, these are our experiences. It's our approach. This is what fits for us. We still believe this, but we are for sure aware that there are a lot of different approaches maybe. At FOSDEM, we asked, would you like us to open source these tools? And the answer was yes. So we tried our best to do this. So let's start to looking back at what we did the last 2 years. So well, we spread the information about the standard BOM team within Siemens internal conferences also, and we got a lot of more participants. License compliance experts, cybersecurity experts, and also a number of SBOM tooling developers. And again, they all considered it as a very good idea to have some kind of more concrete standard. CycloneDX and SPDX, they offer so many different features, and with every new version, there are more features, so it's easy to get lost. And we wanted to have a more precise description inside Siemens, what is important for what use case, and how to do this, and even to support this with tools. Important changes are that we introduced profiles, because we saw that let's say an SBOM for license compliance is pretty different to an SBOM that we would ship to external partners because of Cyber Resilience Act. So now we have one profile which is called clearing, so for license compliance, and another one external. And having these profiles and updating all our tools, updating our tools because of CycloneDX 1.6, then led to a new Siemens Standard BOM version 3, which is where we are at the moment. We are not yet sure how much we will change because of CycloneDX 1.7. What is another major step is that alone for security vulnerability tracking and for being able to fulfill Cyber Resilience Act, Siemens created what we call the SBOM portal. This is on one side a large database, so everyone can upload information, everyone can upload SBOMs to this database, so via file-based or via REST API. But it's also some kind of aggregator, so it can pull either complete SBOMs or SBOM relevant information from a lot of other data sources within Siemens. The idea is that when Cyber Resilience Act is fully enabled and someone approaches us and asks for an SBOM, that we can provide the matching SBOM with exactly the information that we want to have to this partner. And SBOM portal can also visualize SBOMs, and you can edit them. So all the chances are there. But what is important at the moment, this is the only instance that really creates outbound SBOMs. I explained that we want to have only a minimal information, and SBOM portal is the tool that creates this minimal SBOM for regulatory reasons. And at first then we showed, okay, we think we need to provide libraries, and this worked out pretty well. So our Java library is already open source. We have also a Python library. Both of them are based on CycloneDX libraries. We have also internally a .NET library. It's not yet open source. We are working on this, but you can imagine with Cyber Resilience Act, we have so many things to do that bringing all our tools to the open source world is not the primary goal for our management. And we have a number of scanners that are constantly improved. So one scanner for Debian systems, Debian images, whatever, a Go scanner, a Java Gradle scanner, a NuGet scanner, a PyP scanner. Some of them are very well established, so this is where we would say this is stable, and other ones are still marked a little bit as experimental. That is, the developers can use them, but there might be issues. So what else? PyP, a Maven scanner, a Node, so Node.js, JavaScript scanner, a container scanner, which does its best to determine the components inside containers like Alpine, Debian, Ubuntu, and some other Linux flavors. So it's for Linux-based containers. And another tool is already open source. This is a different kind of Debian SBOM scanner. So information for you, we're working on the scanners and we're trying to make them open source. Just don't expect that all of them will be open sourced by tomorrow. Besides the scanners, we have also added other tools like linting tools, like merging tools. Merging in the sense that, for example, if we look at the container again, we may have an SBOM from a Debian scanner, and then we may have a Java backend, so we need a different scanner, and a JavaScript frontend. So from the scanners, we end up with 3 different SBOMs, but for completeness or for to be easy to work with these things, we merge then all these SBOMs together to have only one SBOM per product. Then the SBOM license validator, it looks at the licenses that have been pulled from the software ecosystem and can provide a very first and quick feedback for the developers whether there are probably licenses that they should not use. So let's say if you have a normal Java application and you come across a GPL2 license, this is not what we are really looking for. And so there can be some kind of immediate feedback during continuous integration when something like this happens. We have also compare tools that may help developers to find out what has changed. For me, it is sometimes a little bit strange because, let's say, I see 2 groups of developers. We have very good developers who know almost everything about their third-party software components by heart. So they probably do not need a compare tool, but there are other teams, so let's say more on the JavaScript side, who have hundreds or thousands of components, and because of the large number of transient dependencies, they just lost the overview. So they need tools to tell them after the SBOM creation what has really changed. And then we're also working on a number of conversion tools, either from internally changing standard BOM version 2 to standard BOM version 3, which is also an update from, I guess, Cyclone DX 1.3 to 1.6. But we are also working on tools to that try to persist the data that is relevant for us when, for example, converting from Cyclone DX to SPDX and then back to Cyclone DX again. Then we learned that we still need to provide more information, more detailed specification, better explanation why we need to have certain kind of information. So not only that we need it, but also why we need it. And statements about our principles. I have a slide on that. Who is working on the team? A lot of questions that we answer by our frequently asked question page, and a lot of additional resources. And on the web page, it's also an online linter, so everyone can just drag and drop an SBOM there to see whether it complies with Siemens standard BOM or not. And still, we saw or we learned that this is not enough. So we need to have demos. So we have a number of demos that explain very easy how do you use continuous integration for Go, for Java, for JavaScript, C#, Python. So what you can see here, and it's real a demo case that shows the full path. So on the left side, we would see what is normal project processing. So you do style formatting and compiling and testing, whatever, and then you create an SBOM, and then you do checks with the SBOM, check prerequisites and get status, all of kind of reporting. And if everything went well in the optimal case, you could also create at the end full automatically what we call README OSS, so the third-party software, a declaration that is the information that we need to forward to our customers because of license compliance. Yeah, but still, especially because of Cyber Resilience Act, far more people are now involved in looking at SBOMs, in creating SBOMs. So we got requests about web-based trainings, more detailed videos, how to use the tools. And yeah, one idea is also to have scanners for every known software ecosystem, which is kind of tricky. And still, there are a lot of people who have a hard time understanding that if you don't have a package manager like in C or C++, then it's pretty hard to create some kind of SBOM automatically. And to provide a general information how the Siemens Standard BOM team looks at the topic of SBOM and how we create things, we've documented our principles. So we assume, for example, that SBOMs should be created constructively rather than retroactively by scanning. So the best thing is if you have a plugin into your build system that tells you really what is used, because if you only look at files, this is a little bit hard to tell. Then we believe that things should be created automatically, so not that humans try to update complex documents like SPDX documents manually. Yeah, we have all a development background. We believe in continuous improvement. So this is, for example, why we have scanners that are still marked as experimental. So they are working pretty well, but not yet perfect. But still, we decide, okay, make them available for the people. We will still work on them to improve them to a better state. We also prefer as an identifier for our components the package URL. We believe that working with SBOMs needs to be easy. Only if they are easy to use, easy to create, easy to manage, then it will work out well for all Siemens. We also believe that the only source of truth is the software ecosystem itself. So not external databases. They might be sometimes helpful to look something up, but you cannot fully trust the information there. You do not know where the information comes from. So again, we believe that you take the information that you find in the project and you take the information from the ecosystem. That should be all that we need. And again, use case, we believe that SBOMs are use case specific, so we probably end up with having different SBOMs for different use cases, even if we talk about the same project or product. Yeah, again, we are constantly working on this, but still we have some open issues. So the ongoing discussion, what kind of information do we want in an SBOM? So again, different use cases, different ideas, what should be in the SBOM, but it's also the discussion, what is nice to have in an SBOM and what can we really automatically fill in? Especially our colleagues from the cybersecurity side, they had a lot of ideas what kind of information they would like to have in an SBOM, and we told them, yes, it's all nice to have, but look, this is something that you cannot derive automatically. So we are not sure whether this would really help at the end. And you may also have had a look at this new NTIA proposal for minimum elements. This again started a new discussion on what do we want in the SBOMs and what can we automatically create, and will all this really be helpful or not? Yeah, for more than 2 or 3 years, we're working on better SBOMs for Yocto-based systems. So we are working on this in cooperation with the community. But as far as I know, we still don't have the perfect result that we, or let's say that I'm looking for. And all these discussions have shown that there are still quite different ideas on SBOMs. So SBOMs are used for different use cases. So developers, but also managers, they hear the word SBOM, but they connect it to different kind of workflows or to different kind of information. And this now led to a number of presentations that we either did. So the first one, Perfect SBOM. So what is a perfect SBOM and what is needed to create it? This talk has been done, I guess, 2 weeks ago. And I will do a talk about SBOM myths. That's how I called it, and at the Siemens conference mid of December. And just that you understand what the idea of this talk is, to explain, for example, that, well, at Siemens, I would say we have people who know very well to create SBOMs, and we have people who assume that there needs to be a single silver bullet super tool that can solve everything. And yeah, and long discussions about what kind of dependencies do we need in an SBOM? Should it be only top-level dependencies or the whole transient tree? What can be automated and what is pretty hard to get automated? What is the perfect unique identifier for component? I guess when I dialed in, Shane talked about software heritage ID. Personally, I think it might be an idea, but we still need more definitions how to compute such kind of hash maybe for commercial components. Then most probably we need more than SBOM, one SBOM per product. There are people who start believing that, well, if I have an SBOM, I don't need all this license compliance documentation, which is clearly wrong. And the security people or cybersecurity people, they often assume that in the SBOM is a hash that will help them to track down what kind of binary components they have in their product. I'm not really convinced of this. And some of the developers, they complain, why do you provide tools that do not create perfect SBOMs? And here the explanation is, well, the tools could create perfect SBOMs if we would have perfect software ecosystems and perfect, let's say, open source maintainers. But we are all humans, and thus we are unfortunately not perfect. And yeah, sometimes you just cannot automate or guess things. And I mean, something that I guess all of you are also very well aware of, that Cyclone DX is not exactly the same as SPDX. Close, but not the same. Yeah, that's my overview of what Siemens did in the past and what we did, let's see, in the recent months. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Thomas, for a great presentation. And I think some of attendees have some questions, comments. Are there any comments or questions?
I just wanted to start by saying that was a fantastic presentation, and in the chat I saw a ton of people saying that they really liked it. So Thomas, thank you so much.
You're welcome, and yeah, thank you very much.
I have
one question.
Oh, sorry, Jari, you first.
All right. So this portal thing you mentioned, that's a database. Can you tell a little bit more about that? That what sort of let's say metadata you have there?
Let's see where.
Yeah.
Well, we have different groups at Siemens working on SBOM related topics. One of them is the more license compliance oriented group where I belong to, and the other one are the cybersecurity people. And they read all the documentation on Cyber Resilience Act, and they wondered, well, how should we provide an SBOM to someone else? I mean, if you have a very small company and you have one product, you can just publish an SBOM somewhere on the website. That would be a way to do it. But if you have 10,000 of different products or different product flavors, then it gets more complicated. And I learned that for security vulnerability reporting, there is a well-known mechanism. So I guess Siemens has a REST API, a document, a standard-based REST API, and then someone can query, is there an existing security vulnerability for this Siemens product? And the idea is to do the same for SBOMs. But unfortunately, Cyber Resilience Act does not yet provide detailed information on it. So the cybersecurity people said, okay, but let's start with a central place where we can store all these SBOMs. That's what it looks like today. So everyone can upload SBOMs, and the preferred way is really that as part of continuous integration, the latest and thus most accurate version of the SBOM is automatically uploaded to this SBOM portal. Then at least it's stored somewhere, it won't get lost. And for all the teams who are not yet supporting this mechanism, or let's say for small projects that only consist out of commercial component where it might be pretty hard to create an SBOM, there the SBOM portal can pull information from our license compliance systems where we have existing databases that list the third parties of the components of our products. And when they started with it, they pretty fast understood, okay, just telling someone, hey, I know, or there is an SBOM is not sufficient. So they offer a lot of documentation on what should be in an SBOM, what in an outbound SBOM, what should not be in an SBOM. And they also provide a different kind of visualizer so that people, let's say, could upload a first version of the SBOM, but if they see something is not perfect, they could also modify something and then tell the portal, okay, this is now the final information that you may at one time in the future ship to a customer.
Okay, and this DB uses basically the Cyclone DX as a format, or is it?
Oh, yeah, well, the SBOM portal understands Cyclone DX and SPDX, and it can also create the outbound SBOMs in both formats. But honestly, I cannot tell how they store the information internally. This
okay, yeah.
I don't know.
All right, yeah. Because I'm just thinking maybe it's parsed and put in some tables, etc.
Yeah, for sure they do.
Yeah.
They do a linting when pulling in SBOM information. So they would tell any user, okay, the SBOM you're trying to upload is not perfect. Here's something missing, or this is wrong, or something like this.
Yeah. Thanks.
More questions?
Do you apply manual changes to the SBOM files? Hi, Thomas.
Yes, again, the SBOM portal allows manual modifications. Yes.
Okay, Mark-san,
Thank.
please. Sorry to interrupt.
One more question from my side, please. The SBOM tools, are they company specific? Did you develop them or internally, or there are open tools?
I'm working a lot with legal persons, so the answer is it depends. Actually, that is a lot of them are based on open source tools from CycloneDX or on the open source libraries from CycloneDX, but some of the tools have also been completely developed from scratch by Siemens. It depends a little bit on the use case, where it came from and what was available in the open source world, whether the existing tools provided maybe almost all information that we were looking for. Then we took the open source version, and for other tools, we saw, okay, we need to do it by ourselves.
Okay. So first, congratulations that you promote package URL to identify packages. That we also do in the OpenChain telco. So thank you also for putting some of your tools in open source. Where can we download or find the tools you have put on open source? Is it on GitHub or somewhere else?
It's on GitHub.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Actually, I was waiting all the time for the question, where can we find the specification? Because here I need to tell you, no, the specification itself, it's not available online or not available for the public. The reason is that some of the explanations in the specification is why do we do certain things or why we do not do certain things, and this information should be kept Siemens internally. If you are a good developer and you look at the libraries, you can see what we do and what we do not do. So somehow you can derive this information, but the real reasons behind it, we don't want to publish them, let's say, yet.
Okay, next, Yari-san, please go ahead.
Now, well, I've just wrote it there because Thomas, you mentioned VEX documents, and just wondering because, well, I think currently the latest SPDX also supports embedding VEX documents to the SBOM, but Cyclone has done that already. Do you embed or do you use VEX documents at all at the moment? And if yes, is it embedded or is it as a separate document?
A good question that I unfortunately cannot answer. I know that we are aware of that, and I know that the cybersecurity people had at least the first look at CycloneDX, because here for us it seems to be a little bit easier to create this VEX information or to edit. But honestly, I do not know whether there is a final decision how to do this. It may also depend on upcoming information from the Cyber Resilience Act.
And then if you read the BSI, it has its own interpretation as well. And that's like two separate documents.
Yeah.
I have
Okay,
a question, if I may.
go ahead, please.
Thank you. My question was just, you mentioned that you had to upgrade your activity due to an upgrade of Cyclone to 1.6. Did you find the upgrade process of iterating a version of the SBOM to be a challenge for the team?
Let's say the answer has two parts. So the first thing is we looked at CycloneDX specification 1.6 and we saw there are things that are in favor of us. So some things that we were looking for, which we really want to use. So it was easy to decide, hey, we should use the new version of CycloneDX as a base for our Siemens standard bomb. What we did not realize how long it takes us to update all our tools. So for example, then we had 2 or 3 scanners that created already our new Siemens standard bomb format, but the developer for the linter was not available for a couple of months, and so the linter still only understood Siemens standard bomb version 2. And this is then not a perfect approach. So our learning is that clearly whenever we upgrade to a new Siemens standard bomb version, that we will first have to update all our tools, all our documentation, all our linters, whatever, before we publish this information.
Thank you very much.
Next, by chat-san, could you ask? In the chat box, Baishari-san asked up to what levels are dependencies added in the SBOMs?
Again, most of our tools, most of our SBOM scanners create SBOMs for license compliance, so at the input side, and these license compliance SBOMs contain the whole transient dependency tree. Because from the license compliance point of view, everything that we ship to customers or make available to someone outside Siemens, there we should know what kind of licenses apply. And this is, yes, why the SBOM contains everything.
Thank you.
I also...
Tanaka-san. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just saying I saw Tanaka-san had also typed a question.
Yeah. Tanaka-san, could you speak up?
Okay, sorry. So how do you match the vulnerability information on the packages? Sometimes, sometimes almost. I don't know, but there are possibilities that vulnerability in the package name in the vulnerability information and package name in the SBOM file are different. So how do you match it?
Indeed, we do not match it only by the information in the SBOM. Let's say, again, we have one team that focuses on license compliance, so they have their tooling. For us, this is SW360, an open source portal where we store all our license compliance information about projects and components. And this application has a link to a different application called SVM portal, so the Security Vulnerability Management Portal, which tracks security vulnerability information. And we have seen that, for example, matching vulnerabilities just by name and version, it does not help. We provide as much information as possible to the security vulnerability portal so that they can find the matching security vulnerability information somewhere on the internet. It's on one side, it's an automated process. They're using some kind of AI, but they still at the end also have a group of people who look at all the things that cannot get matched automatically. So again, it's not only about name, version, or maybe a package URL. You need also the information. What is the GitHub project, for example, or what is the source code, so that the security vulnerability people have much more metadata to be able to do a match.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think it is very hard to match and hard to create a automated process, but almost part of that process can be handled by AI. So okay, I think each company consider how to do it, and many. How can I say? Many hard work to do it. Yeah. Thank you very
Hard
much.
work.
Yeah.
That's true.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? If there are no questions, I have one question. Thank you. And you explained that Cyclone DX querying and external profiles. So could you provide a more detailed explanation about that? Or are there any example published on such a public repository, such as a GitHub repository and so on?
Maybe the easiest way is to show it. Just give me a second. Okay, so how can I share? How can I share? No. Okay. Yeah. Now, oops. Now you should see a web page.
Yes, I can see your
website. So this is a specification about the profiles, and basically this is here the overview. So this is the Cyclone DX information, well, the section and the element, and this column is about Cyclone DX standard. This is about what we want to have or must not have in an external SBOM, and this is what we want to have in a license compliance SBOM. And for example, in an SBOM that we provide because of Cyber Resilience Act, we do not want to provide all the information about all the tools that have been used to create the SBOM. So this is prohibited for the external profile, but for the software clearing, we want to know as much about how has the SBOM created. So here we would like to have it. Same is about Siemens internal use cases. So what is the SBOM intended for? And maybe some other things, the descriptions, and for example, licenses and copyrights. We don't want to have licenses and copyright information in the external SBOM because there is at least the risk that if someone compares the SBOM and the information there to our normal license compliance information, that there might be differences. And lawyers, if lawyers see differences, they tend to ask questions, and this is something that we do not want. So we have processes to ensure that we know all licenses, all copyright statements, and that we fulfill all license obligations. But again, this is a separate document, and therefore the information not only does not need to be in the SBOM, but it should not be in the SBOM. Okay, and so you see some of the properties are just prohibited. So for example, the information about website and source archive and so on, they are prohibited in the external SBOM because, as I explained, we want to minimize our attack surface. So if we assume that if we would provide all possible information, then it would be easier for an attacker to probably exploit a 0-day security vulnerability. And again, if we do not provide all this information, that we are more on the safe path.
Thank you very much. It's very helpful to understand it. But I feel it is a little bit difficult to unify this kind of format for your all supply chains. How do you deal with it?
Say again, please.
To unify these format or for all your supply chains. I think you get some SBOMs from the upstream, and they couldn't provide such clearing information and so on.
Yes, let's say,
how do you?
Imagine a development team is working in a software ecosystem where we don't have a scanner yet. Then we would say, for example, okay, then start maybe using a Cyclone DX open source scanner. And then they have a first SBOM result, and the SBOM result might be missing the information that we are looking for, like the source archive or download location. And but we also have tools that can inspect an existing SBOM and then try to find the missing information. So as long as we know what the ecosystem is, like Java, .NET, JavaScript, whatever, and we have name and version and hopefully also the package URL, then we have our own ways to query the software ecosystem for more information, and from there we hope that we find this information. In many cases that works out pretty well. So again, we have tools that can enrich existing SBOMs. We have tools that can remove parts of the SBOM, add parts to the SBOM, the whole components. And so whenever there is a continuous integration script, then our way of explaining it to the developers is, hey, create the first version of an SBOM, run the linter. If something is missing, you see it, there maybe your build breaks, and then add additional steps, hopefully in an automated way, so that at the end you have the SBOM with all the properties we are looking for. If you can't do things fully automated, then you just have to add steps in your continuous integration that add manually determined information to the SBOM. The only goal is that at the end of the CI run, you have the SBOM with all the information that is required.
Sure. That's it. Thank you. Okay. And it's almost time to finish, but are there any additional questions? Nothing. Okay. Thank you very much, Thomas-san. Great presentation.
Thank you very much again for having me. I will provide the slides to you, Kubota-san. You can share them in the group. There's somewhere my email address. If you have any question, just drop me an email.
Sure.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye. And Shane, do you have any closing remarks?
Well, I just wanted to say that I think this was a particularly useful call because it's a very practical case study of adapting an SBOM and dealing with the evolution of versions. I think it's one of the first times we've had such a case study in open source available. So just deeply appreciate Thomas, and thank you, Kubota-san, for making this happen.
Thank you, Shane. So it's the time to close. Thank you for joining, and have a good day.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good
Thank
day.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
どうも。